everybody, Max Scoville here with Jonathon Dornbush for IGN. We are very excited because Sony just announced that they are throwing their hat into the miniature console ring, and this December they're coming out with a PlayStation Mini.
Classic.
Sorry, I don't know.
It's fine. It's just the same one.
It's the same exact naming convention as Nintendo's. It's
Yeah.
kind of shameless.
Yeah, I mean, if people accidentally search it, probably already. It just makes sense to tap into that.
PlayStation Classic Mini, whatever you want to call it, it's going to come out with 20 games, and it seems really cool, but we have a few kind of reservations about it.
Yeah, just a few.
First things first, we know that it has 20 games. We don't know all 20 of them. We know a handful.
Yeah, we only know a couple, like Ridge Racer Type 4 in there, Final Fantasy 7. I believe one of the Tekkens is in there.
Yeah, it's Tekken 3.
Yes,
so it's not just a bunch of early launch titles. It is dipping into kind of the later catalog a little bit. But obviously the PlayStation 1 had a huge library of games.
So expensive.
And it also, that was kind of an era of like third-party games being much, much bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's going to be an issue with finding a proper like library for this.
Yeah, I'm really curious to how you distill what the 20 essential PlayStation games are, because I think for so many people, especially at a time where sharing all of gaming together on the internet wasn't really a thing in the way it is now, people had very different relationships with the PlayStation. Like for some people, for me, it was all about the platformers. Like that was all for me, but for some people, it's all about the fighting games or the JRPGs. So it's hard to see how they're gonna.
Yeah, and we've seen, obviously, with Nintendo's kind of releasing of classic consoles, we've seen that they've gotten a bunch of Capcom and Konami games on there, a bunch of Square stuff, which is cool to see that like these sort of third-party publishers are okay with their classic games getting put on these sort of retro consoles.
Yeah.
But in the case of PlayStation, when you think of sort of iconic PlayStation mascots, you think like Crash or Spyro, both of whom are owned by Activision now.
Yeah.
Is Activision going to be down to do that?
Well, and my wondering is like, you only have 20 slots. Do you use it on Crash and Spyro? Yes, they're iconic for it, but do you use them when there are already better looking versions of those games now, with Spyro coming soon and Crash already out? Do you do that? Do you do Resident Evil 2 when we're getting that huge remake to come? Like, is that a waste of a spot even though they're so iconic for the system?
Yeah. Obviously, there's tons of games we want to see on there.
Yeah.
I know that people at IGN are getting in serious arguments about ranking it, and I'm sure people on the internet are too, figuring out what should be on there. I just want Metal Gear Solid. But the other concern is also, this doesn't have DualShock controllers.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was looking into like the timeline of it. So the PlayStation came out in '94, the DualShocks were introduced in '97, and then PS2 I believe was 2000. So there are several years of PlayStation games, PlayStation 1, that supported the DualShock, and that's not available, at least with the initial packing controllers.
Right. Now I'm wondering if maybe this is, I looked at it and I think that the plugs are just standard USB plugs.
I think so, yeah.
So maybe the assumption is that we already have DualShocks laying around, that we've got DualShocks 4s, or that they're not too hard to track down, to have ones that you can just plug in via USB.
Yeah, if you have 4 DualShock 4s or even 2 just lying around, why not be able to plug one of those in and use that for those games? But then also, are you limiting the people who maybe don't have those? And can they play some of the games well on the PlayStation?
Yeah, and we'll kind of have to wait and see what the library has in it to, what it'll need to actually support that.
Ape Escape.
Ape Escape, I think you have to have the DualShock to do like the helicopter thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing to be concerned about. The other thing is, of course, the price point. It is $100
Yes.
compared to the NES Classic and Super NES Classics 60.
Yeah, SNES, I think they bumped it up to 80 in the end
Is it
because
80?
of the
Okay.
2 controllers.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I mean, I guess if you want to say like the value of having Star Fox 2 in there when that wasn't a game that was released to a certain extent.
That's, of course, MSRP prices, not eBay scalper
Yes,
prices.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, $100 is a little bit steep, for 20 games.
It's a lot, yeah, especially when you could probably buy each of those games for maybe like $3, $4 when they're on sale on like PS3 or PS Vita back in the day when they're available there. I'm very curious because they haven't really revealed a lot of details of like, will there be any online connectivity? The SNES and NES are walled off closed systems, but could this connect to the internet, and could you maybe download a pack of 10 games 6 months from now for an extra $5 or something like that?
That would be pretty cool. I mean, Sony does already have an existing infrastructure for that, and they do have PS1 classics floating around out there in the cloud.
Yeah.
But $100 for a classic mini console is kind of steep when you can just go on, I don't know, on eBay and get like a used. I think I looked at GameStop right now has used PS3s for $50 or $100, and it's like they're not that expensive.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. You could go and download the games the way they are,
And that opens you up to all of the classics for you to buy.
and modern games.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
PS3
please.
games. Yeah.
Who plays modern games?
So I mean, it would be really cool if the extra sort of extra cost of this is to allow people to download additional games.
And to give us trophy support.
That would be pretty cool, too.
I will platinum all of those games.
Yeah, I mean, what if we had some online multiplayer with classic games?
It'd be really cool to see that happening.
Yeah, maybe we're asking for too much, but obviously the thing seems pretty cool. I'm going to hold off on pre-ordering until they release the full list of what's on there. If it's Metal Gear Solid, day one, absolutely. Well, maybe not day one, because the pre-order's already up. But
day zero.
Yeah, those are our reservations. Let us know what you think in the comments, and for ongoing developments of this PlayStation Classic Mini, whatever the hell it's called, keep it right here on IGN.